Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the April 2023 SBIF District Rollout. My name is Kim Brisky. I am here with Summer Corps, who administers the SBIF program on behalf of the City of Chicago. We're going to get started in just a minute. A few reminders for you. If you have any questions during the webinar, feel free to enter them in the Q&A box, and we'll have somebody answering them behind the scenes. Additionally, we will be doing more Q&A at the end. We'll be answering those live. Also, everybody participating in the call today will get a follow-up email with a copy of the presentation. You can also rewatch this recording on DPD's YouTube page. So we'll get started in just a moment. All right, everyone, as I said, my name is Kim Brisky. I am here with Summer Corps, and we're happy to have you at our April 2023 SBIF District Rollout webinar. As a reminder, anybody who has questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A box during chat to be answered. Additionally, a copy of this webinar will be emailed out after the presentation, and you can also rewatch it on DPD's YouTube page. Without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to David with the Department of Planning Development for some opening remarks.
Oh, sorry, I do not have a copy of those remarks. Sorry.
Oh, that's not a problem. That's okay. Sorry. We appreciate having all of you here, and we're going to have the entire Summer Corps team being able to provide you with details about the program and how you can participate. So I guess we're just going to kick it off by heading over to LaTanya Jones. She is our Deputy SBIF Director at Summer Corps, who helps run the program on behalf of the City of Chicago. LaTanya, thanks so much.
Thanks again, Kim. Again, my name is LaTanya Jones. I am the Deputy Program Director of the Small Business Improvement Fund Grant Program. I work for Summer Corps, which is a certified small business lender. We administer the 504 loans, as well as the City of Chicago's SBIF program and the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund program. Today, we will be discussing the eligibility requirements of the program and what you can expect going through this process. Here is the overview of what we will be discussing today during the presentation. We will be explaining what the SBIF program is about, how you can determine if your property or business is located in a SBIF district, which districts are open and on deck, the program rules, how you can go about applying and what does the program timeline look like, what resources are available to help you, provide you with information on the April rollouts with an example project, cover the frequently asked questions, and conclude with any additional Q&As. Since 1999, the Small Business Improvement Fund has been helping small businesses and landlords with reimbursement grants. To assist permanent building improvements, please note that residential projects are not eligible through this program. The SBIF grant uses tax increment financing revenue to reimburse grantees for the pre-approved rehab or repairs of their business facilities or adjacent land acquisition. Please note that this grant does not cover working capital or operating expenses. It is specifically for structural related repairs. Summer Corps is the program administrator that is contracted by the city's planning, by the Department of Planning and Development. Thank you again for joining us today. So let's get started with the presentation. So for grant parameters, as an eligible applicant, you must have a property located in the TIF district where SBIF funds are available. and the district is authorized to accept in applications. Eligible applicants can include landlords of commercial or industrial properties, commercial or industrial business owners who own or lease their place of business, tenants with prior written approval from their property owner, as well as startups are eligible as well, but must provide us with a business plan and a Chicago business license will be required prior to final disbursement. In regards to eligibility requirements, depending on the requirements as an applicant, will determine the eligible limits that you may fall within. For a commercial tenant or owner-occupied applicant, the average gross sales per year must be less than 9 million. For a landlord of a commercial or industrial property, the net worth must be less than 9 million. This is cumulative amongst all owners, and each individual must fall under the 500,000 in liquid asset maximum. If one individual exceeds the 500,000 liquidity requirement, your application will not be eligible for the program. For an industrial tenant or owner-occupied applicant, you have to have 200 or less full-time employees. Please note that if you own the business and the property, you are subject to both the tenant and landlord requirements. The maximum grant amount allowed under SBIF are $250,000 per industrial property, $150,000 per single owner or tenant of a commercial property or landlord, and $250,000 for a multi-tenant property, with the understanding that each tenant and landlord is eligible to receive a maximum of $75,000. Please note that applicants may receive one or more grants up to the maximum program assistance. Once the maximum is reached, the applicant will need to wait 3 years in order to reapply. The percentage of the eligible project cost can be reimbursed if your business sales or net worth falls between 0 and 3 million. You will be eligible to receive 90% reimbursement of the eligible costs. If the average sales fall between 3 and 6 million, you will be eligible to receive 60% reimbursement. If the average sales fall within 6 to 9 million, you will be eligible to receive 30% reimbursement. And for all industrial projects, you are eligible to receive 50% reimbursement of the eligible costs. To better help you understand the calculation for this program, here is a SBIF grant calculation example. Grace submits an application for a SBIF grant in an open district with the total eligible project cost of $100,000. She is proposing to make permanent building improvements to her existing retail shop, for which she is the tenant. Grace has been in business for 5 years, and over the last 3 years, her gross sales averaged at 1.5 million. The breakdown of the eligible costs is as follows. The total eligible cost of her project is at $100,000. Since she is the commercial tenant applicant, her gross sales is under 3 million. She is eligible to receive 90% reimbursement. The city's responsibility is at 90%, which totals $90,000, and the applicant's responsibility is at 10%, which totals $10,000. In order to determine your business or property is located in a SBIF district, please visit our website at summercore.com/SBIF for assistance. Once you get to the website, you will scroll down to where you see Get Started and select number 1. This will take you to the SBIF Locator tool where you can enter your property address at the top. Once you enter your address, it will let you know if your property is eligible. It will provide you with the name of the SBIF district of where your property is located and when that district is scheduled to open for new applications. Also, it would also provide you with a list of local delegate agencies in your area that can assist you. Eligible SBIFs in Chicago span neighborhoods on the north, south, and west sides. Each month marks a new 30-day period in which SBIF districts with available funds open for applications. Notice of districts openings are provided to the relevant aldermen, posted on the DPD's and Summer Corps' website, and included in the monthly SBIF grant. Please visit our website at summercore.com/SBIF to obtain the list of upcoming districts opening. By selecting number 2, where it says check which districts are open, and that link will take you to the list of the most up-to-date list of open and on-deck SBIF districts. Which businesses and organization types are ineligible to apply? This will consist of chains, franchises, banks, pawn shops, liquor stores, places of worship, junkyards, branch banks, cigars or smoke shops, not-for-profit social clubs, organizations that have a national affiliation or similar uses. Please note that this is not a comprehensive list, but it will give you an idea of the type of businesses that are not eligible to apply. But if you're unclear about your business type, please feel free to reach out to us. What type of improvements are eligible for SBIF funding? This would include roofing and facade improvements, components of the signage and awning which are permanently affixed to the building, ADA compliance improvements such as railings or ramps, HVAC and other mechanical systems, plumbing and electrical work, certain project-related architectural and construction management fees as it relates to the project, certain environmental remediation measures, and permanent interior renovations, including fixtures, as well as the purchase of adjacent lots for the purpose of expanding or for parking. What improvement costs are ineligible for SBIF funding? This would involve new construction, standalone minor repairs or cosmetic improvements, equipment-related expenses such as kitchen appliances, computers, or office furniture, planters surrounding or affixed to the building, outdoor dining or drinking areas, including roof decks, beer gardens, outdoor patios, balconies, awnings, porches, or decks, fencing, pergolas, privacy screens, and similar structures, parking lot construction or repairs, landscaping or interior work for residential units. What are the SBIF design requirements? In order to receive funding, projects must conform to the design requirements, including meeting DPD's design guidelines, which can also be found on the Summer Corps' website. Projects shall also comply with design guidelines and additional neighborhood requirements as described in guidelines, style guides, community plans, and other planning documents associated with the TIF area and neighborhood in which the property is located. Applicants are strongly advised to consult with Summer Corps and design professionals to design requirements and guidelines before drawing up plans for their work. All applicants for commercial properties who are approved for a grant of $25,000 or more shall be required to make at least one exterior improvement using at least 10% of the maximum amount of their approved grant, including but not limited to facade repairs, windows and doors, and other exterior improvements eligible, which are subject to DPD's approval. This requirement can be waived at DPD's sole discretion if the applicant can demonstrate to DPD's satisfaction that no exterior improvements are needed because the improvements have been recently completed or the exterior features of the building have been well maintained and are consistent with the design guidelines. What measures are in place to ensure applicants' compliance with the program rules? Checks will be performed on all applicants during the approval stage to ensure they are not indebted to the city, are current on the property taxes, and compliant with child support laws. If any scofflaw debt or delinquent child support payments cleared with the city of Chicago through a payment plan must be in compliance before any reimbursement will be made for eligible costs incurred. Also, must be current on property taxes prior to any reimbursement. Each applicant must sign an economic disclosure affidavit. Grantees will be required to sign an affidavit certifying that they will not relocate out of the TIF district or sell the business within a 3-year period following the disbursement of funds. And in cases of SBIF reimbursement for land purchase, proof of land ownership will be required before reimbursement can be made. How do I apply? You can download a copy of the SBIF application from our website at summercorps.com/SBIF. To apply, you must complete the application and submit via email to SBIF@summercorps.com within the designated open period. Once you get to the website, you can click the white link here, which takes you to the PDF version of the application, where you can complete the application by hand or type in the information. What is the program timeline? In the first stage, you will be given 20 days to provide the requested information needed to complete your application to determine eligibility. Once you are deemed eligible, you will move into stage 2, where you will have 120 days to provide us with the plans, bids, and specs of your project and cure any city debt. If you are aware of any city debt, please ensure to take care of it as soon as you can. Please note that stage 1 and 2 must be completed before final review and project approval by the DPD. If approved, you will receive your conditional commitment letter signaling you are able to start construction. Once you begin construction, you will move into stage 3, where you will be given up to 10 months to complete your project. Proof of permit or permit application, which is concurrent with the 10-month construction phase, must be submitted within 120 days from the date of the commitment letter. Also, the applicant must provide proof of sufficient funds to complete the project, which is also due within the 120 days of receiving your conditional commitment letter. The applicant must prove they currently have sufficient equity to complete the project by providing at least 50% of the funds needed to cover the total project costs. Once the project is completed, you will be moved into stage 4, which usually takes 4 to 6 weeks from when it is sent over to the city for processing. We will inform you of when your funds are available and provide you with closing documents to complete. Please understand that unless DPD has granted an extension of time, applicants who do not complete each stage within the required phase time limit will be disqualified. A maximum of 2 extensions may be granted with DPD's approval in the case of an unavoidable delay due to an extraordinary circumstances. DPD, not Summer Corps, also may, on a case-by-case basis, grant an eligible applicant an additional amount of time to complete any program requirements. In such case, DPD shall have discretion to determine the appropriate length of the extension. What is required to deem a project completed and receive grant funds? Once the project is completed, you are required to provide Summer Corps with proof of payment documentation for review, which consists of the sworn statements, invoices, copy of the canceled checks, and waiver of liens. Summer Corps will complete a final site visit to confirm that the project is completed, and you are required to submit copies of the building permits. Then this information will be submitted to the city for processing, which takes 4 to 6 weeks, and the grant payment will be received by check. What resources are available to help? You can visit our website to access resources that will help you through the SBIF program. We have a list of resources that include lenders who have assisted previous SBIF recipients and are familiar with the program. There are contractors, technical assistant providers, and small business resources that can help you as a tool through this process. Please get to know your local delegate agencies. These organizations are assigned to assist small business owners in the SBIF districts opening this month. You may be familiar with these organizations. If not, please reach out to them and introduce yourself and let them know your plans with the SBIF program, and they will assist you accordingly. Here are a few more organizations listed. Please be advised that this presentation will be emailed to you, to those who attended today. For the April open SBIF districts, we are accepting applications starting today through May 2nd at 5 p.m. The districts that are open for new applications are 43rd and Cottage, 51st and Archer, Archer and Western, Commercial Avenue, and Lawrence and Broadway. Please be advised, applications for these areas will not be accepted after 5 p.m. on May 2nd. When you send us an application via email, please allow 2 business days for Summer Corps to confirm receipt of your application via an email response. If you do not receive an email confirmation within 2 business days, please send a follow-up message or call us to confirm that we received your application. Also, applicants are responsible for making sure submissions are received within the open acceptance period. Here is a sample project that was completed by Aquinas Literacy Center located at 1751 West 35th Street in the Archer and Western TIF District. The applicant completed exterior improvements, including new siding, storefront system, and tuck pointing. What additional documents should I hand in to submit along with my SBIF application? Here is a list of the documents that will be requested from you in order to complete your application. Please note that these documents are not required to be submitted with your initial application form. We just want to give you an idea of the required documents we will request from you pending the type of applicant you are. That would be your tax returns, proof of ownership, economic disclosure statement, personal financial statement, affidavit of child support form, principal profile form, jobs created and retained survey. In regards to startups, we do require a business plan along with the 3-year projections and expenses, an executed lease agreement, an affidavit and certification of the property owner, an affidavit of full-time equivalent employees, as well as a copy of tenant leases. What are the financial requirements to participate in the SBIF program? The SBIF program is a reimbursable grant, so project participants should be prepared with financing to support the permanent building improvements. Proof of financing is not required until stage 3, but applicants are encouraged to contact their business lender or reach out to one of the lenders listed on the Summer Corps website in a timely manner. Grantees may choose to complete their project in phases, rather than requiring 100% of the upfront cost of the project. Applicants may receive an approval for the full scope of work, and construction will be completed based on necessity and contractor's recommendation. The phase disbursement will be based on progress or completion of eligible construction work. For example, an applicant approved to complete a roof tear-off, HVAC system upgrades, and the installation of a new storefront under one application can complete the work in phases. Once the roofing work is completed, the proper paperwork is submitted. The applicant can be reimbursed for that work, and then those funds can be used to address the HVAC upgrades. And then repeat that process to be reimbursed for that and those funds for the storefront upgrades. Are startups or new businesses eligible? Yes, most startups can apply. Startup applicants will need to supply a detailed business plan and projections of the business income and expenses for its first 36 months of operation as part of their application materials. The City of Chicago reserves the right to impose additional conditions for funding in connection with the startup business application. If you have only been in business for 1 or 2 years, Summer Corps requires tax returns and a projection of gross sales to equal 3 years of data. Please note that bars, taverns, hotels, and motel applicants must have their applicable license and have been in business for at least 1 calendar year. Am I eligible if I live outside of Chicago? The important consideration is where you have your business or property. To participate in SBIF, your property must be located in the City of Chicago as funding sources come from City of Chicago property taxes. If you live in another area, please call your city's planning, economic, or community development department to see what other programs may be available to assist small businesses. What if my building has both business and residential space? The program is primarily for business use, but there are mixed use exceptions. For these buildings, many envelope projects such as roofing, facade improvements, and tuck pointing can be eligible. Will there be enough SBIF funds for all applicants? Each tax increment financing district that has a SBIF program authorized in it has limited funds reserved for the program. If demand for the SBIF funds are greater than the available funding supply, a lottery will be conducted to determine the order in which each grant application may be accommodated. If any surplus funds become available, they will be allotted to waitlist applicants. Applicants for a property located in an Invest Southwest corridor shall be given priority for funding and the lottery. Applicants for a property located in a target corridor shall be given second in priority for funding and the lottery. The remaining applicants shall be provided funding if available and placed on the wait list if applicable, after applicants in the Invest Southwest corridors and the target corridors. Is there enough funding available in my district? Every SBIF area has its own budget that the city refills if the TIF funds are available, and if there is a demonstrated need for more grant money. Email the Summer Corps team at SBIF@summercorps.com to see if there are funds available in your area. We also maintain an interested party list for funds, which you can also send an email in order to join. When more funding becomes available or the city allots more money, we will let you know. The interested party list helps the City of Chicago gauge demand for additional funding. What if I'm in a TIF and not in a SBIF? Tax increment financing is the mechanism that funds the SBIF program. So if you are in a TIF and it does not have a SBIF, please reach out to your local alderman. Here's the contact list for our SBIF department and the program director at the Department of Planning and Development, Nora Curry. I would like to thank everyone for attending, and for those joining the webinar today, you will receive a link of today's presentation. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, LaTanya. This is a great time for anybody else who wants to put questions in the Q&A chat box. Now is a great time to do that. But LaTanya, I always like to start with one more general question, which is sort of what are the most common challenges or stumbling blocks that you see for SBIF applicants?
I would say one would be financing, making sure that the applicant obtained the proper funding for their project. If they're ever trying to look for a lender to help finance their project, they can definitely check out our website. Finding a good contractor, not only just within their budget, but be able to find one that could complete the work within that eligible time frame, as well as meeting deadlines has been an issue as well.
Thanks. We had somebody specifically talking about their business. They have a home-based business daycare and they want to expand their current business to a new location. could they use the grant for repairs in the new location?
They can, if it's in the commercial, if it's in a commercial property located in the SBIF, yes, we can cover it there.
Awesome. Can you talk a little bit about, because there's a lot of different grant opportunities out there for folks, for small businesses specifically. If we have somebody who also applied for Neighborhood Opportunity Fund or one of the other grants for the city, can they also use the SBIF grant?
No, so the best way to explain it is you wouldn't be able to use both. So you would have to figure out which program is more suitable for your project and go with that one, but you wouldn't be able to use both the SBIF and NOF or Chicago Recovery for one project.
Excellent. So one of the questions I think is just maybe helpful to go over again. If somebody meets all the requirements for an application, is it a guarantee that they're going to receive the funding? We know that SBIF is unique in that it is a non-selective, non-competitive grant, but is it assured that if you submit it, that you will get the funding?
That is correct. As long as you meet all of the requirements and submit the requested documents to us, you shouldn't have an issue with going through the process and receiving the grant reimbursement once you go through the process.
I guess provided as long as there's money available, right?
Right. As long as there is money available. Usually once you get into the construction planning phase and the approval, we would already know what funds are available for your project. But if you're trying to see if you will have the funds available just by submitting the application, it just determines if the money is available first.
So when it comes to contractors, I guess the first question is, can you be your own contractor as an applicant? And two, do we keep a resource list of contractors for applicants?
So we do have a list of contractors that we've worked with before. Well, not that we've worked with before, but that some of our SBIF clients have used before. That could be a good resource to start with in order to find a contractor of your choosing. But in regards to being your own contractor, you would not be able to do that through this program. So you would have to find a contractor that is licensed by the city of Chicago, and they do have a valid certificate of insurance in order for them to be an eligible contractor for your project.
Cool. Another specific business question wanting to know, one, could a nail salon qualify as an eligible business? And if they're interested, would plumbing, for the different stations, would that be something that was covered? And I would say, you could say comparative to, any cosmetic or things that might be needed at a business. Can you kind of talk about the difference between needing a plumbing hookup versus some cosmetic changes at a business?
Sure. So in regards to the cosmetic changes, like if you're just doing flooring or painting, those would be things. If you're solely doing those things, those would be considered as cosmetic improvements. But if you're tying in flooring with like the plumbing work, we can cover that. But as in regards to the question related to the nail salon, that is an eligible business, and we can cover the plumbing work, but we can cover the rough plumbing work of for like each station, but we can't cover like the business specific improvements of like if it's
Got it.
a sink or a bowl, like if it's a hair salon. Certain things that's more business specific, we wouldn't be able to cover, but we can cover the connections.
The plumbing connections. Excellent. Question, do applicants need to hire an architect to be able to have project drawings or blueprints?
We would recommend it. I think it just depends on figuring out what type of work you're looking to do and seeing if it requires an architect before, hiring one. You just have to figure out what's the full scope of your project before making that decision.
Right. I suppose some things may not need architectural drawings and some things may, depending on what the project is you're doing. And just to reconfirm, when it comes to NOF and SBIF, it's all right to apply for both different grants. However, when you're actually getting ready to do work on the project, you can only actively use one grant at a time, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, great. Another question is, if you do decide to use an architect, would architectural costs potentially be included in the SBIF grant as an eligible expense?
So we can cover the architectural fees as it relates to the project. So you have to make sure that whatever fees that are incurred as it relates to the architect also corresponds with your SBIF approved project. If some of those items are not included, then those costs will be excluded, but ultimately it has to coincide with your SBIF project.
That makes sense. And just to clarifying on the timing of when you can actually apply for the SBIF grant, we have somebody here who has a property that it looks like they looked at the schedule and doesn't look like that their SBIF doesn't open until 2024. So when is the soonest that they can apply for the SBIF grant?
The soonest that they can apply is when the district opens next year.
Right.
So you have to apply within that open acceptance period in order for us to accept the application for consideration.
So essentially, if this person decided to apply today, we would reject the application at this time. It wouldn't be considered because the SBIF district is not open. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Awesome. Okay. Last call. I don't see any new questions coming in here. So again, as a couple of reminders again, everybody who's on this call will receive a copy of the presentation. You can also view it again on DPD's YouTube page. And if you're not sure if your area is when your area is going to be open, we actually did have a page on that in the presentation, which I can take us back to here. If you want to look up the address of your property, the best place to go is to the summercore.com/SBIF and click on number 1 to get to the SBIF district locator. That way you can find out when your district is going to be set to open. Otherwise, I really do appreciate everybody participating today and joining us. And feel free to send us a note at SBIF at summercore.com if you have any additional questions. Thanks so much.